There's nothing that you can't do, even if it's to say no to a client, because there may be that 1% of your client you can't, help, because in my opinion, we can't help everyone. That's my opinion. You may disagree with, you probably will disagree with me that we can't help everyone.
No, I don't disagree. I think it's rare.
It's rare. I think it's rare.
I think mostly we can, at least it makes somewhat of a difference. Yeah. I have certainly taken on cases where, no, I couldn't get that brow was so badly done. There's scar tissue, badly done.
Right.
But I will tell the client, I can make it 60% better. It will be a 60% improvement. That's all I can probably do. If it's better than 60%, hallelujah.
Yeah, right.
And
they're probably, whatever you can do.
Would you be okay if I got it only 50 or 60% better? Would you be okay with that? That percentage of improvement, would that make you happy? And most of them will say yes, anything. Any kind of improvement.
Right.
But then artists worry about putting their name on that.
Right.
And I understand that. And I've had those concerns for my own self over the years. And and there's been times that I have turned away clients because I didn't feel I could make even maybe a 25% different rose. Yeah. It was too far gone.
The glass was overflowing.
Yeah. And I've got lots of tools in my back pocket, And I have a lot of confidence fixing bad work. I've been doing it my entire career.
Yeah.
But there have been cases that I've turned away, and it breaks your heart to turn it away. And I do give it a lot of thought. I'm not quick to turn someone away.
Yeah.
I have to give it a lot of thought. I have to really study it, and I have to really think about it.
Now that I'm older in my career, I say I don't accept as much work as I do. Like that case, in the past,
stressful.
You know what? It's so stressful.
It's so stressful.
And then there's a healing process. And let's not forget about the integrity of the skin that's been compromised now. And how is that going to affect future implants?
Yeah. And you might have to see this client often.
A few
times just to get it, back on the right path. And so you have to make sure that this client fully understands that. This client's...
there's 4-week healing in between.
The client's patient. Sometimes clients lose patience.
Yeah.
They can promise you this, that, and the other, and agree to a lot of things up front. And then as the process gets going, if things aren't going as you planned, then clients can lose patience. They can start making, impossible demands. And so you have to think about all that stuff. And back to client forms, addendums, everything in writing, pictures, and all that stuff.
I have to give credit to Mary Richardson, because years ago, when I took her class, it was like game changing for me. But she was very giving, and she's one of these goats as well, like you, that is very giving and sharing. And she shared the paperwork with all of us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how paperwork should be? My paperwork was nothing. So my paperwork has evolved so much since then. But she was the one, I have to give her credit, that sort of put a spotlight on the importance of thorough paperwork. I mean, I have literally 24 medical questions that I ask my client, things that are weird, do you have city water or well water? Mm-hmm. Those are one of the questions I ask. Because if they have well water, what if there's bacteria in there? I want you to wash at least for a week with bottled water. Weird questions that someone off the street would think are weird, but to me are important.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things you need to understand.
You really need to understand and consider. Yeah, Mary has a ton of addendums. She's the addendum queen.
Yeah,
she really is.
Yeah, and one of the things that we were talking about earlier, getting back to when we were talking about medications, I didn't want to not bring this up in case someone is listening, is the medications. So if we talked earlier about having a good relationship with doctors in our area. Mm-hmm. If we suspect, gosh, there's a condition, something that's going on, I'd rather not work on you until you see your dermatologist.
Right.
And they come back and they say, oh, the dermatologist says I have this or that, whatever it is. And we need to know what medications are on as well, because if it's any of the tetracycline medications, which are really common, like doxycycline or monocycline, which these are really common, acne medications. It's like oil and water for PMU.
I think it's the doxy too. That's really
doxycycline I think is worse.
Way worse.
Yeah, it'll definitely compromise the integrity of the pigment.
I was just having a conversation, a back and forth conversation, text with Emily Joy about doxycycline and how what'd she call it? She called it some kind of drug. It's the devil. But she's had,
Emily's my girl.
yeah. So, you have to ask for a list of medications, and there's just a lot to consider.
Yeah.
I
There's
wonder
a lot
if
of
the
layers.
PMU artist ever sits back and really thinks about the responsibility that we have taken on. When we decide to tattoo,
Well, if you're doing it a long time,
a pair of eyebrows,
for sure, absolutely,
the
it's a lot.
responsibility,
So much.
It's a lot,
Yeah,
man.
it
It's a
is.
lot
Yeah.
that we take on.
Right,
There's a
right.
lot. What a craft. What a craft. What a profession to choose. And there's just so much to learn. So much to learn for the artist to learn.
So I think you
never stop. I
No,
don't know
we
if you
never.
ever learn
Again,
everything you need to.
I think Socrates said it. Would say it before every lecture. I think it was Socrates. I only know that I know nothing, and I think that's the attitude.
Yeah.
That's the attitude I walk around with every day. We never stop. I personally learn something new every day.
Yeah.
And I think we owe it to the client for us to be as educated as possible on every single layer, on pigments and undertones and overtones and skin and everything that we've talked about today and more.
That's why I like a good debate
Yeah.
in PMU. I get really uncomfortable when it turns ugly and people get snatchy and try to and get disgraceful.
Yeah.
With their opinions or the way they put it out, sometimes very angrily and very
100%.
But when there's a really good, respectful debate going on on the boards about a particular topic, and it stays respectful, I love
it
a good
too.
debate
I love it
because
too.
you learn so much with
Yeah.
a good debate. I mean, that's why in high school there was a debate team. That's why there's debates. That's why there is debates, because it allows you to understand the other person's opinions, why they feel that way. They bring a lot to the plate. You learn. It
right.
opens up. I've probably learned more in debates, debating with somebody, than anything else, than drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree. Can I tell you a debate that I had the other day that it was
Sure.
like a lot of people were like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Because I think of these weird things, but Texas De La Rosa, love him. He was like, Rose, please join, I have a Facebook group, join my Facebook group. So someone had posted a picture of a client with like a shadow on her upper lip. And she's like, they wanted to do PMU lip on the client. And all these people were like, no, yeah, do it. The person in question that was asking the question was concerned that darkening, which is hyperpigmentation or melasma, people were like, oh, that's melasma, and immediately giving them a solution. Have them do this. Oh, that's melasma. Have them do that. Oh, I'm like, wait, time out. I wrote this dissertation about 1 second. First, let's learn about their lifestyle. Why do they have that shadowing? It may not be melasma.
Right.
It is a form of hyperpigmentation, but it could just be good old hyperpigmentation based on their lifestyle. So for example, this is a question I ask my clients when I see that. Do you drink a morning smoothie? Because in the Prieto house, every day we have our NutriBullet, we make our morning smoothies. If so, do you put anything with an acidic component in it? Lemon, pineapple, because I know I do. Do you drink out of a straw or do you drink out of the rim? Because if you drink out of the rim and you give yourself that milk mustache and you clean your mouth with a napkin like everybody does, and then you walk out the door, your skin is compromised to the UV rays, because even if you live in Alaska and unless it's dark and you live in a cave,
Right.
you're getting exposed to UV radiation. And we walk the dog. We're going to the mailbox. We're driving in our car because glass does not filter UVA rays. We're constantly getting peppered with UVA rays throughout the day. And so something as seemingly insignificant as drinking a smoothie, your morning smoothie or your green juice out of a glass can cause that upper lip pigmentation. Does the client use lip plumpers? Do they use Carmex? I've been addicted to Carmex in 7th grade. And so are you applying it, haphazardly above the vermilion? All of these things need to be taken into account in terms of asking probing questions about their lifestyle, because if we find that's why you have hyperpigmentation, now let's talk about it. Okay, drink out of a straw. That may be the solution. Or before you leave the house, wash your face, cleanse that area, and then reapply a broad spectrum sunscreen. And so these are the things that we need to address first before we talk about tattooing.
Yeah,
and then,
you can do her. Go ahead.
And then, you could do her.
Right.
And then tell the client, gosh, if it doesn't go away, then, are you still okay with getting your lip tattooed? Because it's going to enhance your lip, which will look kind of funky. It may look awkward. Like, are you okay with that, having that mustache? But, it's about the probing questions that we need to know how to ask. And a lot of artists don't think like that.
No, no, a lot of don't. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, because I personally see that a lot. Is that
Well,
upper
we're in
lip?
Vegas, so
Yeah.
we're high sun.
You
and,
are, yeah.
You know, it's
and I have a lot, a lot of ethnic, melanin-rich clientele, and I myself am,
Yeah.
ethnic, and so
we see a lot of that here because we do a lot of golfers,
100%.
tennis people.
Oh gosh,
I do have quite a few people that like drive FedEx. A lot of women that drive FedEx and UPS and whatnot.
They don't even have a door on their car.
No, and I can always tell
their left side.
And that eyebrow always fades faster.
Yes, yeah.
Or it ashes out a little bit
Yeah.
versus the the right eyebrow. You can see the sun damage on that side of the face.
Yep.
It's just really, but I'm a Virgo. I'm really super observant, so I just notice all these things. But
Yeah.
not everybody does.
I was born in Virgo, but I identify as Libra. My daughter
okay.
rolls her eyes when I say that because technically I'm a Libra, but I once got my fortune read and I was born in Virgo. So
that's
you and I
funny.
are the same. I'm so type A.
Yeah.
But no, I think a PMU brow's best friend is a broad spectrum sunscreen.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And the problem is a lot of clients don't want to put that pasty white titanium. It actually makes the brows look gray sometimes.
Yeah.
So just an over the counter like a banana boat.
Well, they've gotten really good.
They've
with
gotten
sun
good
creams
ones
now.
You,
There's some.
you want some that are clear. I like using lip balms. I tell my clients just to get a clear colorless
Yeah,
lip balm.
yeah.
That's broad spectrum, which
Yeah.
means that it protects the skin from UVA and UVB rays.
For sure.
And what I get from clients all the time is, oh gosh, I don't go to the beach. I don't go to the pool. Yeah, but you walked outside. You came here. You parked in the parking lot to come to my office, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got your mail this morning. Again, it's perpetual. Sun damage is perpetual.
Yeah, or just gardening, spending time in
Anything.
your backyard. And
That's 5
gardening.
minutes here,
Yeah.
10 minutes there. 1 minute adds up over time
Yeah.
is going to damage that skin.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think some clients think that, no, I don't lay in the
It's
sun.
quote unquote going to the beach or laying out like we used to
or
in the
tanning.
80s.
They don't intentionally tan.
Yeah.
They don't lay out.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're still getting
Right.
a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of sun on the
100%.
face.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Especially like in like Florida,
Yeah.
Arizona, Vegas.
Yeah.
Where it's
Right. Really sun soaked.
Really
sun heavy.
sun-soaked, yeah.
But like I said, anywhere there's light, unless you live in a cave. But that's why, again, circling back to the skin, it's really important to understand.
And I think in Vegas, on top of, the sun, we also deal with dry skin because we're a really dry climate, right?
Right.
Our humidity levels are usually
Yeah.
10% or less.
Yes.
So we deal with a lot of
my
dry
skin, my skin can attest to that right now.
Yeah, and in Florida you deal with
I could
high
drink. I could drink the
humidity.
air. If I'm thirsty, I open my mouth. Right.
So I think that makes a difference too. Like what state you live in, like Washington,
100%.
right? A lot of overcast, not a lot of sun.
Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday with some of your apprentices. You have to consider too the climate that the client lives
For sure,
in.
that affects our heal
healing
results.
and
It affects
aftercare
the
and
long term,
everything. Yeah,
and how we're viewing.
right. It's not just about the skin; it's about the climate as well.
For
There's
sure.
so many layers.
Yeah, for sure. And like even like Darlene, and Mattia, they're the chemists at
Yeah.
LI. I mean, they talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
That's why when we test pigments, we test them in different states,
Yeah.
different climates, in different parts of the world.
They do not.
Yes, they do.
That can I just say right now? I'm not kidding. I swear on my family. I don't want to say it. My puppy's life. I have goosebumps right now because that right there is
Yeah.
game changing.
Yeah.
The fact
Darlene-
that they freaking do that is amazing.
Yeah, and they understand that. They understand pigments perform differently in different climates,
Because
different states, different
absolutely,
parts of the
yes,
world. They
yes.
absolutely understand it.
Right.
They've known it for years and years and years and years and years. And a lot of people don't even consider that. A lot
They
of
don't
even
even-
pigment manufacturers don't even consider
Yeah,
that.
it's such a
But
thing. Yeah.
our scalp pigments, those were in testing for 5.5 years before they felt comfortable with the formula and putting them on the market. We were testing them in like 5 different regions in the United States by Scalp Tattoo Us. They were tested in different parts of the world. They, like Darlene hand selected the different parts of the world for them to be tested in. Because of climate and where you live in the world, where near the equator and things
Right.
like this. She's so scientific that way. Sometimes a lot of the things I have to say, okay, can you dumb that down
Yeah.
for me? But yeah, and the reason she was so like ferocious and
Yeah.
so with the scalp pigments,
Yeah.
we do that with eyebrow pigments and
Yes.
lips, but we'll do testing for 2, maybe 3 years for eyebrows, but for that scalp line. she was so ferocious and so, with that testing, because it was on
The head.
the head.
Right. And what's the most vulnerable part of the body?
The head.
Is the head in terms of sun exposure,
Yes.
UV exposure.
Yeah. And it's really different skin.
Right.
Super close to the vascular system, super thin skin.
Yes.
It's very, very different skin, a very different area of the body.
Right.
The sun hits it directly. So,
Yep.
So I think, that's why our scalp pigments are so good. And that's why we have both an organic and an inorganic version of the scalp pigments, because even there's a time to use one versus the other. For sure. That can be the best.
This is like literally gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love that.
It's sometimes it's frustrating and it can be stressful having pigments, out in testing for that long.
Yeah.
It can be a long process, and sometimes can be, because you go through trial and error. Testing pigments. But when the testing's done and you've come to your conclusion, when you're releasing them, you're releasing pigments you are 100% confident in. Do you know what I mean?
I was recently attending a conference where my tia was one of the speakers, and I was so excited to speak with her. I was like rock star, and there was a hurricane that hit, and they switched the conference online. But I was like, that was really, I have to say, like one of the big disappointment of the conference is that I didn't get to see her in person and have a conversation.
She's like a super. That's Darlene's daughter.
Yeah,
and she's a super.
She's the chemist. Yeah,
she's the chemist, and not only that, she's got her master's, a double major.
Oh, she's so knowledgeable.
She's got her master's in chemistry, and also in she's got her master's in biology.
Yeah,
so
I knew that.
She understands biology, the skin. The body and pigments. So, and that's where we implant our pigments. Exactly. So she's rather unique. When it comes to
and it is so valuable because it gives me such peace of mind knowing that they have so much integrity, so much science behind it, so much knowledge and education. And this is ultimately what we, the artists, use to, like you said, implant skin in the dermis.
Well, they're the reasons I didn't grow up biased towards either iron oxides or organics. I maybe my first 3 years, first few years, as a baby in the industry, maybe I was biased. You tend to use what your trainer tells you to use.
Absolutely,
and you don't know what you don't know. But once I started using LI and became involved with them, they've been wonderful mentors, and I started really learning and understanding iron oxides versus organics. Combining them when needed, using them alone when needed, for different formulations, and really understanding the science behind each one. And LI has never, ever, ever, ever in 30 years been biased towards one or the other. They have incorporated both inorganics and organics in all their formulations. Their different lines, whether it's eyebrows, scalp, lips, eyeliner, aerial, all that stuff. Right. So it's been really So I think I'm really super blessed not to have that bias, right? I really understand the value of both, and I incorporate both into my own work, and I'm able to educate others on the value of both.
So, to me, you're like the ultimate encyclopedia about pigments and organics, inorganics, and you learn from them as well. Yeah, so this is great.
For sure. Wow. Well, there's a lot of biasisms.
Yeah,
100%. Is that a word? Biasisms?
It could be. I like that word. Let's make it a word.
Olivia, is that a word?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? When we play Scrabble, I got to look up words all the time. I come up with my word as we play Scrabble, and I'm like, I think that's a word. Biasisms.
I know. I do that every day on Wordle. I play Wordle.
It's probably biases.
What is that?
Biases. How do you say
biases.
Biases.
There's a lot of biases. Biases. I don't know. A lot
of bias.
Let's look
maybe
that
it's
up.
Just
no, it
bias.
is. You know what? It is just bias.
There's a lot of bias.
Yeah, but I like biasisms. I like that.
A lot of biasisms.
Yeah.
Well, there's sexism. There's ageism. There's
Terranisms. There's little words of wisdom. We could do terranisms.
Yeah. Biasisms.
What is it? Carbon has feet.
And it will run.
It will run.
Yeah. That was funny. We were just at the AAM conference, and I had flat Terran out.
Yeah.
And I think I
got to take a picture with Flat Terran.
Flat Terran, yeah. We popped her face out, and so Victoria Glam got behind her, and she was me for 30 seconds, and that's what she said. Yeah, carbon has feet and it will run. It was super funny.
Oh, I love Victoria.
Like, wow, okay, that's what I'm going to be known for.
Well,
when
listen,
I die,
that's
I'm gone.
But listen, that's not a bad thing to be known for. That's important because it will run.
It will run. So, how long have we been going, Olivia?
An hour and 6 minutes.
Okay, so it's time to wrap this up. Is there anything else?
Oh gosh, I could talk for
Rose?
another hour. Are you kidding? There's so much
know.
more, but
Well, we had other things on our list,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what a great conversation.
Yeah. I mean, we could, it's just like when you have passion for something, and obviously anyone listening right now has passion, or else we wouldn't be listening. Right. So there's so much
Yeah.
to learn, and
So much to learn, and for sure, me included, I'm always learning, and I have a real desire to learn.
Yeah.
You know, I've
Yeah.
never
Well,
lost that desire
too.
to
Yeah.
learn. I think some
Yeah.
people lose the desire
right.
to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, we don't know what we don't know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So.
But I think that's my mission. My last few years here in PMU, you know, I always say that, I'm on my last act, probably in PMU. You know, I've been doing it almost 23 years this
Wow.
September.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I have no
Oh my gosh.
plan to retire
Yeah,
in the next
yeah.
few years. I mean, I'll be doing this a long time, but when you sit and you really think about it,
Yeah.
you know, I'm probably in my,
Yeah.
my last
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
you know, and you become more conscientious of how you want to spend
Yeah.
your last few years.
I know I have been
You
absolutely.
know, just not in the industry,
Yeah.
but in your life.
Right,
Right.
right.
I think when
Yeah.
you start to get to a certain age, you kind of evaluate what's important in life. How do I want to spend? You know, you value your friends more. You want
Right.
more time with your friends,
Family
more
too.
time with your
Yeah,
family. Things like that. Those become more important. And I think about that for the industry too, my
Yeah.
role in the industry. And I think it's just the message of get out of your fucking box.
Yeah.
If you're just using one needle, one technique, one type of, get out of your box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay curious.
Yeah. 100%.
Keep exploring. Keep experimenting.
Right.
Keep learning. You know,
And if you can't find the key to that box, just break out of that box.
break out of the box.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fear that keeps artists in.
It's
in
always
the
fear,
box.
and I get that.
Yeah,
You have to do something that scares you, or else you
for
won't
sure.
grow.
Exactly. So
I think Eleanor Roosevelt said something like that.
yeah,
And that is so true. So never stop learning.
no, absolutely. So I think that's a good note to end on. Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Right. And all right. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a bunch of tutorials now
Yeah.
for your new course.
That'll be exciting.
So we'll let everybody know when your course launches.
To
We'll put it-
continue educating and empowering the artist.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for this Tatter-a-fact. Thank you, Rose, for joining us. And remember, stay in the pursuit of happiness, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Ciao for now.